School subject tier list. Starting off the list in B, we have science. Science is in B because of things like chemistry, where it's super fun. You can light things on fire, melt things with chemicals, and just mess around with the homies. But things holding it back are things like biology, where it's just really, really boring, and all you learn about is like a cell or like what an animal does. Next in the list is history. History is also in B, and it's in B because it is very boring, and because I don't really care what a day in the life of Julius Caesar looked like. But what's holding it back from being a far lower tier is the fact that it is very easy to study for. All you have to do is just remember what is on a Kahoot, and that's basically how simple it is. Next on the list is English. English is an F tier because it is just as boring as history, but it is not easy to study for. You could study all day for a test and still get it wrong because you got the wrong topic. Or you could fail an essay because you forgot to put how the color of the door was important to the plot of the story. Also, I don't understand why you still have to learn English in like a higher level of school, because I've been learning English since like kindergarten, and I'm pretty sure I've been a D1 reader since 2nd grade. Next on the list, we have math. Math is in D because it is just as boring as the other classes like history or English, but it is also very, very hard. But unlike English, at least you can slightly study for it and have a chance. Now, the only reason it is D and not F is I think I've fallen for the propaganda teachers have told me about how math helps with like problem solving and teamwork, things like that. But I think basic level math in like kindergarten, like 1 + 1, is very important. Everyone should know it. But as soon as I have to understand what 2's X is, I do not care anymore. I think that they don't really need that in the day-to-day world. Next on our list, we have our language classes like Spanish, French, or Chinese. These are in A tier because they're very important classes that can help build connections and relationships in the future and can help you travel the world more freely. Now, they're in A tier and not S tier because, at least for me, learning a language is very, very hard. I cannot seem to understand how to do it, which made the class very hard for me. But at least I could still respect the class for being important and could help build a successful future. Next on the list is gym. Gym is an S tier because it's very fun in the middle of the day. Just have gym with the homies, have some fun. But some bad things about it are things like the gym class athlete who thought they were going to go D1 if they went crazy in gym basketball. But the only thing that really happened was it was the emo kid's 13th reason why after they got dunked on. And another thing that was bad is like in middle school I had a swimming class and I kind of like didn't know how to swim, so I just sunk to the bottom of the pool like an anvil from Minecraft. And also the locker rooms, especially in middle school, were really bad. Like some kid took off the stall doors, so there was no stall doors because some kid just decided to steal it, probably some devious lick. And also, if you left anything out, you would not find it again. That thing was being stolen. But some things that are good about the class was, just hanging out with the homies, having some fun. Next subject on the list is art. Art is in C because, it's a chill class, but it can also be really, really boring. Because I remember this one time during art, we spent a whole ass hour just looking at a video of just a random person watercoloring. And it was so boring, and we could not talk because every single teacher I have ever had in art has been so bad, it's not even funny. I remember this one time, one of my homies had a Picasso level art piece and he got an F on it because he didn't have polka dots in the sky. And I also remember this one time, I think it was the same teacher who gave me a 0 on an art project because they lost the project. But all in all, art is a C and not a lower tier because it is a chill class. Alright, the next subject on the list is business classes. Now, business classes are S tier because they can actually set you up for a successful future and then teach you how to pay taxes, do stocks, and invest in your future. Also, every single business teacher I've had is possibly the chillest teacher I've ever had. They are all great, and the fun thing is, in most of my business classes, most of the things have been more hands-on things, like creating a fake business for the grade, or presenting an elevator pitch with the homies. And all in all, it's just been very fun in every business class I've taken. Next thing on the list, we got our music classes, like band, orchestra, or choir. These classes I'm going to put A because at least in band it's a pretty chill class, but once you get to like a certain higher level, it gets more of an extracurricular, and I didn't really mess with that. But in lower levels, like in middle school or especially elementary school, are really fun because you can just mess around with the homies. Like I remember this one time in like elementary school where we'd have these talent shows, and almost every time it basically just turned into rap battles the whole time, and it was really, really funny. Up next, we actually have two classes, which are lunch and study hall. These are both going S tier for obvious reasons, just great breaks in the middle of the day, and they're being put together because they're basically the same thing. They're just free time, but in lunch, in most schools, you're more confined to like a room, but in study hall, especially in high school, you get way more freedom to do whatever you want. You can be all scholarly, you can study, you can do all this nerd stuff, but 99% of the time, you're just playing games, you're being on your phone, you're doing some monkey business. I remember this one kid in study hall was running a gambling ring, this other kid like running a whole studio. It's kind of crazy, but super fun. Next up, in A tier, we have workshop classes or your engineering classes. Now, these classes are in A tier because they are pretty fun. If you have good people in the class, you can just make like projects with your friends. But the problem is, if you don't have anyone in your class, they can kind of be really boring. But they can also help in the future because of things like problem solving. You can make whatever you want, but most classes you just have to make a birdhouse, which is really, really boring, which kind of holds it back from S tier, but it's still really, really good class. Last and least, we got driver's ed. It is an F tier because it is an extremely boring class, even though it is very, very important. It still cannot be saved by its boringness. Now, what might have made it worse is that I took it over the summer, which made it really, really boring because for 2 weeks, 6 hours a day, I had to sit in the driver's ed classroom with 90% of the kids in there being asleep. And my homies telling me to get on the game or go to the park and play some basketball while I was watching a screen of how to turn right in a car. Now, what kind of saves the class? It is probably the most important class on this list due to the fact that it will probably be driving every day in the real world, but it is still extremely boring.